Auburn falls to the Texas A&M Aggies 27-10 in College Station. Let's talk about it on this edition of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. We're here to talk about Auburn's disappointing loss yesterday to the Texas A&M Aggies. Kind of saw this one coming, but nevertheless, Blake, a little disappointing, brother, but how are you, man?
I'm frustrated, aggravated, but it's a Sunday. It's a beautiful Sunday outside. I mean, the sun come up, Dustin, and like we were talking off air, man, it's going to go on, and Auburn's going to take their lumps this year. They're going to take their lashings, but, we got to build on this, man, and it was frustrating the way we played yesterday. It was frustrating that, the offense still doesn't have an identity. The quarterback play was atrocious. The play calling at times was just head scratching. It was an all-around frustrating day. I think our defense deserves better. I feel for those guys. I think they laid it all out on the line, and eventually they broke. I mean, you can't just sit there and say, put anything on that defense. I mean, you're going to eventually break. You're going to eventually give up the big play. But I'm damn proud of those guys. It's just frustrating, man, because this was a game that you could have won. We were driving with under 10 minutes left in the fourth, down 10, with an opportunity to somebody step up and make a play and cut it to a 3-point game. There was opportunities in this game to win this game. And it's just that's the thing that's head scratching. But you've got a tough stretch now. You've put yourself in a hole with Georgia and LSU coming up, and then you got Ole Miss. So there's a hole, man. We could be looking at 3 and 4. Do you want to drop 4 straight? Because now things are starting to swirl. You don't have a quarterback. Right. It looks tough, man. But we're going to keep on plugging away. I'm going to keep on backing this football team, this coaching staff. We're not going to give up on this thing, Dustin.
Yes, sir. We got a lot of new subs over the summer, man. So as you guys are going to kind of find out, there ain't no sunshine pumping over here. Like Blake said, it's always going to be War Damn Eagle. That is never going to change. Yeah. And I got to say, I got to put out the disclaimer, Blake, because you know how it goes. We have to criticize when things go bad and talk about what we saw, right?
Yep.
That's not an overall referendum or opinion on the Hugh Freeze or where this program is going. I believe in Coach Hugh Freeze. I think this program is going in the right direction. Auburn's going to lose several more games this year. And when that happens on these recap shows, we have to come in and talk about what happened. So yeah. I'm just saying, because I know that people aren't going to hear that. I know that people are going to be in the comments talking crazy and you guys need to remember how bad it's been and blah blah. We know all that. Okay, we predicted 8-4 and admitted that it was sunshine pumping when we did it. If you're admitting that 8-4 is sunshine pumping, then obviously you understand that the program is not where it needs to be, because Auburn is much better than 8-4. And we put 8-4 as a ceiling, as a sunshine pump. So I just want to put that out there because we have damn near 1,000 new subs than we did last football season. So I know how it gets, man. People can misinterpret one thing. Look, we got to talk about what it is, right? But still believe in Coach Hugh Freeze and all that kind of stuff. So I just know how this is going to go, man, because me and you, we don't blow no smoke. Like, it's not what we're going to do here. We're going to tell you what we saw. And like you said, there's opportunity to make plays. And when a 6'4" receiver, when you're down 10 in the fourth quarter, gets hit in his forearms in the end zone, brother, we brought you here to make this play.
Yep.
So, and you're not making it, and we have to say that. So,
yep. It takes me back to my point we were talking about when we were in the Twitter space with Jeremy that night, and I kept telling everybody was like 9-3, 10-2, things like that. I was like, look, people, like, we need to pull them expectations back a little bit. Because if you lose that Texas A&M game, it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not, And kept saying, pull it back a little bit. Let's hope for 8-4. But realistically, 7-5 is what Auburn is aiming for. Now I'm just aiming for a bowl game at this point. I'm just aiming to go to the Birmingham Bowl. I mean, let's be honest. But expectations, like people were just, 9-3, 10-2. And we kept saying like, hey, we go to Cal, because I remember a guy hopped in and he was like, hey, you got a chance to lose to Cal. An Alabama fan hopped in and said that. And I was like, man, if we lose to Cal, or if it's even remotely close, like we might be in trouble. They might not go the way we want, And that happened. And we get on here and we're just like, hey, like we want to pick Auburn, man. I never want to go against Auburn. But I felt like we had an opportunity to win this game, Dustin. And we come out our first offensive possession, and that is uncalled for. That right there, I immediately knew we were in trouble. I said, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. If that is the best that you can come up with in a week's time, we're in trouble. And I knew it, Dustin.
Yeah, no, you like you said, man, right out the gate, 10 penalties on the day, just weren't in it. It looked like the last road trip that you took. It looked like something that we've seen. You mentioned about the defense eventually just breaking. Since 2014, that's kind of been – that year our offense averaged like 40 a game and we couldn't stop anybody. But since that moment, since 2015 on, this has been the story, man. Like defense hanging in the game, and you just can't get anything on offense. And I mean, Blake, 56 passing yards.
Yep.
This is something that we've just continued to go through. And we changed coaches, we changed coordinators, we changed quarterbacks, we changed offensive lines, we could change receivers, we changed everything. Apparently, we thought we were changing schemes.
Yep. We
continue to see this. I just think that obviously at this point, I think that we're done with the Peyton Thorne experiment.
Yep.
And you have such a tough ask to say, okay, this week you got to go back to square one and figure out what you're doing on offense while facing the two-time defending national champions. It's a really tall task. I don't know. I'm not in the meetings, right? I'm not at practice. I don't know how much influence Hugh Freeze has on the offense, exactly the play calling, the game, the scheme, all that. Here's what I can say confidently. I've watched Hugh Freeze for a long time, and it ain't looked like this. Mm-hmm. Now, there are bad performances. Your teams will play bad. And here's where I'm disappointed 4 games in when it comes to their offense. I'm not upset about us getting beat to A&M. I'm not even upset about 27-10 because that score is that's more than what it was, right? Like they kind of ran away with it at the end. It was a lot closer ball game than 7.
Yeah.
Right. But what disappoints me is I knew we were going to lose these games versus these teams that have recruited much better than us in the last 4 or 5 years. That's fine. But I thought that we were going to come away from these losses and say, okay, there's a sense of identity. I know what we're trying to do. I thought we were going to be establishing that as a program, that this would be the year where we step back and say, okay, only won 6 to 7 at maybe, we just talked about best case scenario, 8 games, but the program's headed in the right, we know what we're doing. 4 games in, I don't know what's going on offense. I don't know what we're trying to do. Apparently, we're trying to be balanced. 56 yards rushing, or 56 yards passing, and 144 yards rushing. You were getting Jarquez established early in the game in the first drive, then all of a sudden you just don't see him. And Petit played good. We're going to do our players of the game at the end of the day here. And spoiler alert, he's the only guy on offense that got any yards, so he's clearly our choice for offense, right? So this is not an anti-Petit thing. I'm just saying, like, Jarquez is that dude. You're getting him established. He looks good on that very first run that he made. Looked like old Jarquez, right? Mm-hmm. We're all sitting on the couch saying, okay, let's go. And then it just doesn't get established. We've seen that through 4 games. The offensive line, Blake, I think that Hugh did what he could to improve it. I think the offensive line is better than what it was last year. But here's the truth of the matter. We went up against the defensive line yesterday that are all blue chips. Mm-hmm. Guess how many blue chips we had starting on our offensive line?
Yeah.
We have a bunch of guys that get promoted. Right. We got a bunch of guys that get promoted from the Sun Belt. And I'm not knocking them, man. Like, they are an improvement from what we had last year. Hugh had to do what he had to do to try to improvement. I'm trying to this is the way it's going to go, man. And the guys we're going to play the next 2 games, they've been recruiting us, and it's out recruiting us. And it's no secret to anybody that specifically the offensive and defensive line, Auburn has not recruited where it needs to be. And this is what scares me. Look at our offensive line for this class. Not a whole lot of meat there, bro. Not a whole. I love Carter, but I'm not mistaken, he's the only one. So, looking at the future, it's like our main problem is still a big concern, and it's not something that you can fix overnight. So, this is where the program is, man. Like, you're coming off of the worst coaching hire that we've ever made. He literally didn't recruit, like I just said, especially on that offensive line. This is what this is going to look like. So it's not necessarily about the results that have me concerned and disappointed. I'm looking at this offense and saying, okay, 4 games in, whoever this is on, Hugh, Phillip, Montgomery, whoever this is on, I need it to look like what Hugh Freeze's offensive looked like his entire career. Now, and if I'm not mistaken, Hugh said, and somebody, you might correct me if you know more about his stints at Liberty and Ole Miss, correct me, but I believe he said before the season that this would be the first time he wasn't calling plays in game, correct? Okay. Well, it looks a lot different than when he was calling plays for his entire career. I watched him go to Ole Miss and immediately make that offense double in points per game production. They went from 16 point something to like right there at 32. Doubled in points production. The first year at Ole Miss, without a transfer portal, using the same guys that were on the last year's Ole Miss team that won 2 games. He did the same thing at Liberty. He did the same thing at Arkansas State. Now, all of a sudden, it's not happening here at Auburn. I got to ask what's different. So there was a lot of questions here. It's not freak out mode because this is to be expected. Yeah. But what needs to happen now is you need to scratch. What was it, like 4 or 5 games in when Tuberville tried the Tony Franklin experiment? And he said, no, we ain't doing this. And I'm not saying Phillip's got to go, but whatever is going on behind the scenes that I'm not privy to why this looks like Hugh Freeze's offenses have never looked. And again, I'm not even talking about production in yards. I'm talking about game plan, identity, what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do something and it's just not working, okay, I know what you're trying to do. You just don't have the bodies to do it, right? But right now, I don't know. I don't think we know. And this was Mike G said before all week going into this game. Mike G said, how can I predict Auburn to win when I have no idea what we're going to try to do on offense? And that played out to a damn T, man.
And he got ran through for that too, because some people were on him about saying that, but he had a point, man. He had a point because, it's 3rd and 25 and you throw a screen to Rivaldo Fairweather. Come on, bro. Look, I know there's nothing in the playbook on 3rd and 25, but let's be real, man. Let's be real. That play call says, I do not trust my offense. I don't trust anybody on my offense. That is exactly what that play call said. All right. I watched the game every weekend, bro, with my dad. And my dad said, he looked at me and he said, that right there goes to show that he doesn't trust not one person on that offense.
Can't blame him.
You can't. You had a quarterback that we're 4 games in and he still looks like a deer in headlights. And Dustin, I'll be the first person to say, I was backing Peyton Thorne. All right. I backed him. I was on Peyton. Hey, he needs to be the starter. Even when he struggled early at Cal, hey, we got to stick with Peyton. All right. But I think we found out yesterday, we just don't have a quarterback. All right. And I'm not trying to down Robbie, and I'm not trying to down Peyton or down Holden, but we got a guy who's a deer in headlights. We got a guy that I think he loves Auburn. He moved the football yesterday. He did some good things, but he still missed some reads. He still missed open guys. And then Holden is an unknown because is Holden ever going to get a shot? Like he got in there yesterday, but it was garbage. It was garbage time. Come on. Like we don't have a quarterback right now. And I'll be honest, the way this defense is looking, we're a quarterback. We're a good quarterback away from beating A&M yesterday and going into the Deep South's oldest rivalry undefeated. If there was opportunities there for Peyton Thorne yesterday to hit Jay Fair and put us on the board early, man. We had the chance to put A&M behind, completely silent that fan base, completely get that sideline questioning Jimbo Fisher, and we couldn't freaking do it, man. We couldn't do it. And it's aggravating, all right? It's freaking aggravating, man. But you know, one thing I don't want to see is I'm seeing our fan base. You sitting here and you made a great point on it. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like I said, we're going to take our lumps and our lashings. But damn it, I cannot sit here and back. We hired Hugh Freeze for this. We hired like come on, man, get out of here. I'm not here to hear that crap. We are going to lose football games. It is year one, and Dustin, this kind of Brian Kelly went to the SEC championship game last year. All right, Brian Kelly had a roster when he come in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Auburn did not, and you made a perfect point on Brian Harsin being the worst hire in Auburn history, okay? And Graham, our buddy Graham, he put on Twitter yesterday, Allen Green doesn't get ragged enough for making that hire, all right? Because they had a great night in a hot tub in Idaho one night, all right? We didn't have the dudes, and Hugh tried to tell us that. We don't have the dudes to compete in the trenches or in SEC play. It's just not going to happen this year. And you saw that yesterday firsthand. You saw 5 stars against 2 stars. Yeah. And I'm not trying to down anybody on our team. I love this team, man. But it's the truth. People who sit there and say stars don't matter, it's a lie. Okay, they do.
Yeah. Look at who finishes in the top 5 in recruiting every year, and then look at who finishes in the top 5 in the polls every year. It's pretty
perfect example. Everybody's counting Alabama out. Oh, I took Ole Miss to beat them. All right, perfect.
Won't do it again.
Perfect example. Everybody's counting Alabama out. Look at what that defense did yesterday. They made Jackson Dart go back to the old Jackson Dart, turning the ball over, scared in the pocket. It just – that's what they do. That's what they do. Stars matter, okay?
And they built a plan around their quarterback yesterday. They said, this is what Milroe can do effectively. Let's do this, and let's tailor our entire game plan, defensively, everything around this. We're gonna win the ball game this way, and we don't care if it doesn't look sexy. Where we're lighting it up how they have with Ridley and all these guys, the Henry Ruggs and all these dudes that they've done in the past. They don't care about that. They're just trying to win the game. So they've set it up. Okay, this is Milroe's strengths. Let's do this. That's what we need to see going forward. It's a tough ask playing Georgia this week, but you got the bye week after. So I asked the question here, what do we do at quarterback now? I don't think that it helps this team this year, and I really don't think it helps this program moving forward to bring Peyton Thorne back out there as a quarterback. He's had a shot. He's had every opportunity to take this job. Hugh gave him the job after he was the 3rd best quarterback in a scrimmage because he felt like he was pressing. Well, he hasn't stopped pressing, Blake. Mm-hmm. And as much as that's clearly my thing, and I want to really wait so we can go back and watch the full film and break it down. That's why I'm kind of reserving any aim at Philip Montgomery or anything like that, because I do know that there were guys open multiple times. I mean, like you talk about the Jay Fair one. That's not on Philip Montgomery. He drew up because I saw people saying we're not getting Jay Fair the ball enough. We drew up a play for Jay Fair. Yeah. And it was a perfect play call.
He tiptoes into the end zone. He literally walks into the end zone.
And a guy that started almost 30 games at this point, if not 30 games, as a Power 5 quarterback, overthrows him by 15 yards. I mean, that was unreal, bro. That was like I just, man, almost got, was it Frazier? It was either Frazier or Fromm that he almost got killed.
Yeah, Fromm.
Yeah,
Fromm.
going right up the seam right there. That's going to put you in a lot more manageable situation to pick up the first down the next play, and you just sail it. And it's just and I want to talk about this too. Well, I'll stay on the quarterbacks and I'll get on this. So going forward, I feel like it's got to be Robbie this week. One, because you're playing the back-to-back national champions. You know what Georgia is. You got them at home at least. You put in the guy. Don't make this be Holden's first start when you have a bye week next week. So go with Robbie and just shorten up the game plan. You're going to have to do what we did the last 4 games of last year. If Robbie, I know he got banged up, but we know he's tough as hell and he'll probably be out there next week. Put Robbie in there this week. Let him get the reps with the ones. Let Holden get some reps with the ones and take the twos. I hate to be this way, but what are we going to get in as like the future of this program? What do you get bringing Peyton Thorne back in there? He's not the guy to win you games this year, so he's not the guy to win you games in the future. You might as well see what you got in these two. So put a system around Robbie's talents, around his skill set, and see if you can win that way because you got a good defense. So if you can run the ball and control the clock with Robbie at quarterback, you can stay in the games with the defense. And that's just with the defense playing the way it's been playing. So I'm trying to look at ways to where we can stay in some of these games and try to win them because I don't know if we have a guy right now where we can sit back and air it out 25, 30 times versus these Power 5 teams. And even versus Samford, we get through 2 interceptions. Obviously, looking back at it now, him missing shorter on that drag route and throwing it into triple coverage in the Samford game, nothing got better, right? It's still the same old thing. So, and decision-making on the RPO is so important. And there's times when he's just not making it's the handoff. It's something it's not necessarily the bad throws or turnovers. We didn't even turn the ball over yesterday and still lost by 17. We won the turnover margin by 1. Got close on the one that was overturned. But just I think moving forward, man, for this week, the best thing would be to see if you can get Robbie ready to go, put a game plan around Robbie. Don't make this be Holden's first start. If Robbie has some success this week versus Georgia and it's something that you think you can build off of, okay, now you got a bye week. Let's see what we can do. If it doesn't go well this week and Holden continues to play well in practice, like me and you have been here and he continues to do, that's my thing too. That's been the consistent part. Mm-hmm. Now since spring, since like the first week of spring when Holden started slow, and that was the storyline. Ever since that pro day, all me and you've heard behind the scenes is Holden is consistently the best thrower of the football every day in practice. Okay, so give Robbie the game plan this week. See if you can build off that. If that still doesn't go right, man, it's almost like the pro franchise. And I'm not saying mail in the season because you have games where you're going to be in it, the Vandies and all that we talked about. But let's see what we got in Holden, right? Like if you're the pro team that brings in the veteran and okay, you fall to 2-5, and then you got the guy you drafted in the second round, and he hasn't played yet. You're like, all right, I already know what this 10-year vet is. Let me see what I got in this kid. Let me see if I got something. We might approach that at some point here in this season, where it's like, okay, let's just put Holden in and see what we got. If he's the best thrower of the football, let's see if he can gain experience and build off of all the rest of the things that go into football. So, just going forward at quarterback, I don't want to see any more of Peyton Thorne. Mm-hmm. I hate to be that way. You've had your chance at Michigan State. You didn't win the job. You kind of see now why Keon Coleman was going to Florida State, right?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So you got to see what you got in these two guys here because it's not going to get any better. 56 passing yards is not going to get it done. I don't even know how many of those Thorne had. I think it was like 46 or something like that. So, yeah, dude, you got to figure it out for the future of this program. And
Dustin, look, one thing that got me yesterday is I put on Twitter. I don't like tweeting much during games and everything, but I made a tweet yesterday, and I said I think it's 9 time. You gotta switch something up. You gotta do something to change things on offense. You gotta give a new look, something, right? And I get, no, Robbie's not it. Robbie's not the answer. We can't go to Robbie. Well, who the hell are you going to go to? Okay, so I got one comment that said, this one got me, man. This one got me. A running quarterback is not going to win this football game. All right. And I'm sitting here going, well, neither is Peyton. So, like, what are we doing here? And then I get a quote tweet saying, oh, hell nah. All Texas A&M's going to do is load the box and stop and try to stop Robbie. Okay, well, that's fine. Let Robbie throw the football. And if he can't get it done, then we can live with that.
All right.
But we've got to put Robbie in the game. You have to. You can't keep sitting here with Peyton Thorne looking like this. And look, we get in 3rd and long, and Robbie comes out and Peyton comes in, and it's just the same disaster. All right, it's the same disaster. He scrambles left. He's looking at Jay Fair. He throws an absolute dart, and guess what? The Texas A&M guy swats it up in the air, and then Peyton, RG3 said, hey, man, I would have loved for him to catch that ball and try to run with it. But, yeah, I know you're always taught to bat the ball down and everything, but it was a backwards pass. So the ball was live. Thank God. Was it Too Tall that went over there and picked the ball up?
The lineman.
Yeah, somebody. And so, like, it was just a disaster, man. And you had to have something, a different look. And I agree with you. I think a different look needs to be had against Georgia this weekend coming up. And look, it's probably going to be a bloodbath. We got beat up yesterday. We got absolutely beat up. DJ James went down. Zion went down. DK hit the turf multiple times. Yeah, I mean, dude, we just took a beating. And we're lost right now. We're lost. I don't, I asked myself multiple times, when does Holden get an actual shot to prove himself? Peyton, you had your shot. All right. Robbie, you've had your shot. You're going to get another shot to take control of this offense. I believe you're going to get another shot. Yeah. But when does Holden get that shot? And I like your point of waiting till the bye week. I mean, throwing him in at Baton Rouge would be absolutely wild. But, hey, guess what?
It's got to happen sometime.
It's got to happen sometime, I'm not sure if they do it. I'm not saying they are going to do it, but you got to give a kid a chance, man. And the lack of identity has me flustered. I'm flustered. Like watching that first drive, like I mentioned earlier, I said, boy, we are in absolute trouble. We are in trouble, bro. On second down, we were absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. We stayed in 3rd and longs. We were horrible on 3rd down. That's what happens when you stay in 3rd and long. You're horrible on 3rd down. All right?
3 for 15 on 3rd downs. And
3 for 15. Guess what? You know what happens when you go 3 for 15 on 3rd downs? You lose. All right? Yeah. We won the turnover battle. Wild. But guess what? Can't move the football on offense. There was even times where we had pretty damn good field position. Mm-hmm. And we still couldn't move it.
Yeah, we got sacked to get out of field goal range or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to talk about Statue from last year, but hell, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just aggravating. It's aggravating. And I'm tired of hearing. I had somebody comment on my Facebook yesterday saying receivers aren't getting open. I said, will you stop, please? Okay. I'm tired of it. Yeah. It is a disaster on offense right now. Nothing is going good. I didn't understand yesterday. We are running the ball down their throat. Mm-mm. And then we do a toss to Damari. It gets absolutely blown up. I think Brandon Frazier was the one blocking there and got absolutely blown up by a DB. He puts his helmet on the football. We called a break. Yeah, that was a forward pass and a incomplete pass. All right, we called a break that was not a fumble. But what are we doing there? What is our identity there? We're gashing them between the tackles. Another thing that I thought was crucial, Dustin, is Peyton Thorne's inability to pick up the blitz.
Yeah.
Boy, the nickel at Texas A&M walked to the line of scrimmage. Your receiver pointed at him and said, hey, he's coming. There he is. Everybody in the stadium knew. And Peyton Thorne, let me take this snap. All right. Then when you take it, you look right at him. He's coming right at, and you freeze, deer in headlights. No getting the ball out, nothing. You take a sack. Bro, it was obvious. When they blitzed, you knew exactly where it was coming from. No adjustments, no checks, no nothing.
Yeah, the thing with Thorne was supposed to be that the floor was supposed to be higher than the other QB's floor, right? There was supposed to be this floor that we kept hearing about that everybody was saying, okay, this is his floor. It'll only get this bad. No, we have seen some bad quarterback play at Auburn. And boy, that was Jeremy Johnson level stuff that I saw yesterday. And we don't want to sit here and just harp on it like the whole time, but obviously, man, that's got to be fixed. So going forward, I've said my piece for what I think it needs to be. You as well think there's got to be 9 this week, and if that doesn't work, then you got to go to Holden, and because you got to figure something out here, dude. It's got to be. You got to look somewhat competent. So whatever we try to do these last 4 weeks, scratch it. I still have a ton of faith in Hugh Freeze. My faith in some of the other assistant coaches on offense is kind of waning a little bit, but I still want to give it time because we're 4 games in. I know, all the issues that this staff is facing personnel wise. They put the best they could, receiving core together wise. And again, like I said, I can't sit here and kill Philip Montgomery when I see wide receivers wide open and we're not hitting them. So it's just there's not one thing to point to, right?
Yeah.
It's just what I know is that the whole offense is just a mess. I will say this about the offense, and then we'll get over here into the defense. The effort on offense, I do not question.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that has improved. I think that team never gave up yesterday, even in the fourth quarter when we had not moved the ball all day, because we've now played 8 quarters in football of A&M in College Station and have not scored an offensive touchdown.
Yep.
I want you to think about that. 8 quarters of football at A&M, we have not scored an offensive touchdown.
I said not to let it be like the 21 game. Don't let it be like the 21 game. I said it the other night. I said, don't let it be like the 21 game. You go in there and you play hellacious defense and you can't score the damn football, man. And that's exactly what happened.
Exactly what happened. So there's just the whole offense is a mess. We're not blaming any one person. I'm certainly not, but it's got to be figured out. But like I said, I do want to say this: everybody on offense, I felt like they were giving it their best. I feel like in that fourth quarter, that offensive line, even though they were losing some battles, I think that all those guys still fought. I think that from what I could see, and we'll know more about this on the film, the receivers continue to run their routes hard all the way through the fourth quarter. So effort-wise, offense tried. And I think that is a step up from what we have seen over the past couple of years, because there have been a lot of times when this team would have just kind of quit. And it didn't happen under Cadillac because you were obviously galvanized by something special. But the last couple of years of Harsin, the last couple of years, or the whole time under Harsin really, and the last couple of years of Gus, this team in those kind of moments just kind of quit, especially on offense. The defense would hold you up as long as they could, and the offense just threw their hands up eventually and said, we're done. I did not see that yesterday. I thought everybody played football. And that's the progress that you can't track on the stat sheet. And those are the kind of things that there's no way to quantify it. And I know Josh Pate says all the time that progress isn't linear. It goes up, it goes down. You can't always see it. Those are the kind of things. I do think that everybody busted their ass yesterday and gave it their all on that offensive side of the ball. I never saw any quit out of anybody. The offensive linemen, Gunnar Britton would get beat. The only way they would get beat, they came back the next play and continued to try to get their job done and play hard. So, for all everything that we just talked about execution-wise, I do have to give them a shout-out there. And, that's just what it's going to be this year. Like, we have to establish this culture, Blake. And one thing I said yesterday on the War Report post-game show was it's not always – there's the culture in the locker room that I feel like has improved from what I've heard the every day. I think these guys are really bought in and believe and want to win games. I feel like it got significantly better as the summer increased. And I think that is a testament to Hugh Freeze getting the people to buy in. But there's the in-game culture too. So the not quitting is part of that. Now we have to get to the execution part of that, because where we're at right now is we get a big play and I go, where's the flag? And you know where the flag is? It's on the field. It's coming. You bust a big run. Oh, don't worry. You held to make that run happen. Or you didn't even have to hold. You were already at a gain of 15 and you're just holding on the other side of the field. We're driving the ball because God forbid somebody bust off a 60-yard play for us. So we're driving the ball, and then eventually we get that penalty. Eventually we get that turnover. As Auburn fans, the Auburn in-game culture, when the ball gets kicked off, from the players all the way to the fans, is waiting on the other shoe to drop, waiting on something bad to happen. Yes, we can beat UMass and Sanford. Auburn, I don't even want to talk about that. In games that matter, that is the culture. We're all expecting something bad to happen, and then it happens every single time. Blake, versus Cal and versus A&M, if I'm just off the top of my head, if I'm putting a percentage on it, 80% of the big plays that are momentum, every time I thought we were getting some momentum, there's a flag.
Yep.
Or a turnover. Every single time. I'm going to keep begging Auburn. Pull the gun away from your foot. You'd have blown it off. At this point, we'd have taken a chainsaw and cut off both our legs. We're looking like Lieutenant Dan out here. Like, we got to stop, bro. We got to quit doing this, man. Like, it's time to it's time to get it together, dude. So the in-game culture of just knowing that mistakes are going to happen and then they happen. That's the next part. We're past it. I feel like we're past the not quitting in the game part. Okay, cool. We're making progress, and it's not going to happen overnight. But like, dude, that we got to get to this part now. It's okay to lose on talent. It's okay to lose on talent. It's not okay to just kill yourself. Let's show some love to the defense, Blake. We've ranted and raved, and we've had our therapy session long enough. I got to shout out to our guy Eugene Asante, man. The kid is just balling, brother. He's just Blake
the Lieutenant Dan got me, because now I'm just like, I always think about she tastes like cigarettes, and like it gets me, man. But yeah.
Well, I'm yeah, that's what I see, bro. That's what I see our offense as. Lieutenant Dan jumping off that boat, just flailing, just trying to find some traction, dude. Just trying to find our way. But hopefully, like Lieutenant Dan, we find some new legs, man. It's time to find some. we gotta find some new legs, bro. We gotta start walking again on offense, because I don't know. Maybe we need to go to Vietnam and get us a wife. Eugene Asante, Blake, you playing ball.
Yeah.
Kay and Lee playing ball.
Yeah.
So Tuesday on our live show, because we're 1/3 of the way through the season here, obviously 4 games in, we're going to grade positions, and we're going to grade our coaching staff, from F to A, obviously going to give them position or give them grades. And we want you guys to hop in, give your grades as well. It'll be a fun night. Spoiler alert here. I'm going to give you one of mine now. Ron Roberts is getting an A. I don't know if it's probably won't be a plus, because that's just a high standard, but like he's gonna get some kind of A, because Ron Roberts is doing his thing, man. When we talked about it in the preseason, we were so concerned with depth, and bodies continue to fall yesterday. And I saw Caleb come in as like our 3rd or 4th string star or whatever he is at this point. And Caleb's in there. He missed game 1, obviously got caught up in that whole mess. He's coming right in, bro, making plays. It just seems like whoever we put in there, Masai Likai, however you say the kid's name, balling, bro. The kid's playing good football. Marcus continues to play good ball. I'm really impressed with what Roberts has done. I see a lot of improvement. I see a lot of guys that have gotten a lot better. And I see we don't have the bodies on defense, and we're hanging in these games. This is coaching, Blake. He's doing a hell of a job.
100% agree, man. How can you be mad at this defense? Like I mentioned earlier, look, they might bend, but they didn't break early. They didn't break until late in the game when they gave up the big run. It just feels like one of those years, Dustin, where Auburn has a damn good defense and no offense. You know, like in 2019, all right, go back to 2019. Bo was a freshman. Man, we had a defense, dog. We had a defense, and we didn't have the offense to go with it, you know? And it just feels like, I'm not saying that, I really feel like if Bo wouldn't have been a true freshman and Stidham would have come back, you know, that team would have been completely different. But I'm not saying that this team could compete at a championship level like I think that one could have. But I think, man, if you just had some type of identity on offense, the way this defense is playing, with the West being down, the East being down, the SEC as a conference being down, I feel bad for them, Dustin. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the dudes. You know, like I always mention, man, those seniors, those veteran guys back there, man. Like, I feel bad for those dudes because they can only hold on for so long. Everybody's like, oh, well, you know, Texas A&M ran for 200 yards and all this stuff. Well, look, that was watered down. All right, I don't want to hear that. At the line of scrimmage, all right, we were holding our own. Mm-hmm. We were holding our own early. But that's what happens when your offense can't move the football. So, I mean, like Eugene Asante is on another level. From sideline to sideline, on another level. Kayin Lee will play in the NFL. And we might only have him for 2 more years.
Yeah, for sure. 100%
right?
on that.
Well, I just he's that guy. He's damn good. All right. He is an elite player in this league. All right. And he's probably not going to get that love right now. But this defense was they told us that they couldn't stop the run, and you know we just look they've answered that bell, in my opinion. Yeah. They've answered the calling. And as far as Max Johnson coming in yesterday, you know, look, he went on a couple drives. Like, I'm not mad at that. Okay, they scored points. Like that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. There's no way I can get mad at our defense. I saw a tweet saying, "Oh, well, Max Johnson was over here making our defense bite pillows and was screaming and everything." Well, we couldn't score.
Yeah.
we were going out for 3 plays and then punting the ball back to A&M, and our defense gets a sip of freaking water, and we're running right back out there.
Hey, we can barely get the punt off without sailing it over the guy's head.
Man, special teams. Hey, it was a disaster, man. No, like, there's no way I can sit here and throw any shade towards our defense. Now, yeah, there was some times where you know, A&M was 2nd and 15, and we just didn't put pressure on Wegman. And I thought we let him just sit back there and kind of pick us apart a couple times. And you know, that is, you know, it is what it is. We still stood up strong, in my opinion, and made a stop. So I think Ron Roberts has done a damn good job. I think he deserves an A as well. I can only imagine what this thing would have looked like if we'd have had that defense from last year. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just all the signs point to the offensive side of the ball, man. Like, it's just bad. It's a disaster right now. It's aggravating. It's a tough spot, man. Auburn's in a tough spot because I just really look at it like, I mean, we were talking about a 3-game stretch. Now we're talking about the other 3-game stretch. Now you got Georgia, LSU, and Ole Miss. I mean, are we really going to sit here and look at 3 and 4? We might be hosting Mississippi State at the crib and be 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think it's not a sunshine pump. The thing to have hope here is that, okay, your defense is playing well enough that if you get your offense to where it's competent and average, you can win some games. You just have to figure out something that you can do to move the ball decent on offense. And it's crazy because you go back to the preseason and we were like, man, if the defense can just be in the middle of the pack, then we should be able to find some ways to win some games. And now we're sitting there going, okay, if the offense can just find a way to get into the middle of the pack, it just has to be okay. If we can just find 21 to 24 points in some of these games. And like, man, it's crazy to me that the more and more we get down this road as every football game advances. I'm not talking about Hugh Freeze. I'm talking about over the past however long it's been. We just seems to me like we just get farther and farther and farther away from the ability to score 24. Could you imagine if we scored 31 to something points in a big time SEC game? And I know that you can say, okay, well, last year versus with Cadillac, I get that, but like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like chips all in, eyes watching, not when you're 3-5 at that point with an interim coach or whatever. Like when the moment's big. Step up, man. We had a big moment yesterday. We could have stepped up. We freaking had 200 something total yards of offense. Like even if we reach that mark, we had 144 rushing and 56 passing, like barely. Bro, just woo.
It's rough.
So the offense has just got to find because the defense has been so damn good. Still got a turnover yesterday, obviously scoring on the turnover. I mean, they gave you the spark. You were completely down and out, and the defense said, boom, and provide you a spark. I'm talking about Kay and Lee. We talk about Eugene. Kay and Lee getting in there, and like now, with the bodies that are falling back there in the secondary, Kagan's vital. We have to have him now because everybody's getting freaking hurt. And he's just stepped up to the plate. So the defense gives me hope that if there's something that's found on offense, that back half of the schedule will be able to win some of these games. And I still look at Bama and say, okay, they're never going to light the scoreboard up. So if you just find a way to do some competent stuff on offense to where you can get in the end zone 2, 3, 4, I'm not going to say 4. If you can get into the end zone 3 times or make up for that with 2 times and 2 field goals. Because first half, we lived in field goal range, lived there, and came away with 3 freaking points. It's got to stop, man.
Good for Alex McPherson.
Yeah, no, hey, was he 3 for 3 this year? Like he's hit, I think, 250 plus, or I know he's got 2 long ones at least. So
dang, that was 53 yards.
Yeah.
Dang, on the road.
Yeah, it makes me feel good. Like, okay, now we got a kicker that we can depend on that has range. But when you're right there on the edge of his range, you don't spin move in the pocket into a sack and put yourself out of it. That ain't it. So there's just, if it wasn't for Ron Roberts, we'd be in like a ton of trouble, right? I mean, you would be 2-2 because you would have blown that game at Cal. So the defense, man, I know it's easy to look at the offensive frustrations and just really harp on that. But imagine what Ron Roberts is going to do with DeMarcus Riddick and DJ Barber and Malik Blockton and some of those guys. Like the way that what DeMarcus Riddick's skill set and Ron Roberts' defense is going to be unreal. So just hats off to the defense, hats off to the play. And again, not quitting. Those guys, they could have quit versus Cal. They didn't quit. They got us a dub. They could have quit yesterday. They didn't quit. They hung in there. They kept us in the game. So I know that it's not the result that we wanted. We lost and all that kind of stuff. And I've obviously said my piece about what happened. But, when it comes to that kind of stuff, that's the progress. Like I said, on offense, it can't be tracked. I watched the Auburn defense quit last year versus Penn State. I don't know if they didn't quit yesterday. They could have. So obviously that makes me feel pretty good. We're going to go to our players of the game here before we get out of here. It's like I said, it's obviously Brian Battie on offense because who else you're going to give it to? He got all the yards. And shout out to Brian Battie because I literally said on our episode Friday previewing that I felt like that the rotation should go a certain kind of way and he should not carry the ball as much as he has been. And he comes out and has one hell of a day. So shout out to him. I still think Jarquez needs more touches. I still think Cobb needs more touches. Obviously with Damari getting hurt, I kind of opened it up. But Brian took full advantage. He played great. So shout out to him. And Kay and Lee, like the kid's just playing unreal football. This could have been him or Eugene yesterday. Could have been a lot of guys. Got a lot of guys on the D line I was impressed with. But to me, Blake, Kayan is with all the injuries, I felt like Kayan deserved it because he's been on the field since day one. It was the second day of spring practice. They said he was working out with the ones, and I was like, oh shit, he's that dude, man.
Yeah, look, it could have went on the defensive side. It could have went to Eugene, and there's a great case for him. You know, I'm pretty sure he led the team in tackles and everything, and obviously he had the big recovery there and took it back to the house. But Kayan Lee, hey. He was there. Yeah, forced fumble. He was there to make that play. So those two guys are definitely highlighted, man, on that defense, and good for them. And Brian Battie, hey, what a game. Auburn putting the ball in his hands. He's making plays. And his shiftiness and the cuts, man, stopping on a dime. And I thought he ran really hard. Mm-hmm. I was a little frustrated with the lack of Jeremiah Cobb.
Me too.
I'm frustrated in the lack of the screen game. I'm I kept hearing that Auburn was going to work a lot of quick game. Auburn was going to get the ball out, and we don't run a ton of anything. I mean,
right? What are we running?
I mean, unless it's 3rd and 25, we'll throw it to Rivaldo, I guess.
Gain of 2. Yeah.
I don't know. I was a little frustrated with the lack of Cobb yesterday. I was.
All right. Well, your final thoughts, Blake, because I got a couple things I want to say here.
Yeah, I'll start first. Look, this is a marathon, not a sprint. All right. Am I frustrated that we lost? Absolutely. What pisses me off even more is seeing our fan base start arguing amongst each other about Hugh Freeze and all of this other BS. All right. Hugh Freeze, it's going to take time, people. It is going to take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Auburn was down bad. They were down bad. We had a coach take 2 years off of recruiting and put us in a hole, all right, a dark hole. It's going to take time. The last thing I want to say, all right, is all of this back and forth, the bannering and everything back and forth, the arguing and all of this stuff between Prime Time and Auburn fans, okay? Stop. The shit is annoying, all right? It's annoying. I'm glad they got ran out of the stadium yesterday. Honestly, you can't even get on social media without seeing a Prime Time ad, all right? If he had come to Auburn, great. Kudos for him. But guess what? He didn't, all right? He didn't. He didn't come to Auburn. So I'm tired of seeing Auburn fans on here just absolutely, Prime this, Prime that. Who cares? Who cares? I do not care about Colorado and Prime Time. I don't give a damn. Absolutely loved watching Oregon and Dan Lanning and what he had to say. They're playing for clicks, and we're playing for wins. All right? The game ain't played in Hollywood. The game's played on the grass. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. But it's making it like you can't even watch College Game Day, Dustin.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it's literally everything. Like Desmond Howard yesterday makes a pitch of, ask Marcus Freeman. All right. Well, what do you think about Prime? Marcus Freeman is not worried about. He's not worried about Prime.
Playing Ohio State.
He's playing Ohio State. He doesn't give a damn about Deion Sanders. Stop, man. The stuff is so annoying. It is annoying. Primetime is a great person. He is a great football coach. He is going to do amazing things. But stop, dude. It is. And now we got Auburn fans just sitting, we should have brought Primetime. At least we'd have had a quarterback. What? Shedeur Sanders had a tough day yesterday. All right? Because guess what? He played an actual defense that put pressure on him, and they couldn't hold up. They found out what they were yesterday. I'm sick of it, bro.
I hear you. It's kind of funny because we didn't even talk about this. You don't even know what I'm about to say, but we think alike, brother. Yeah. So I got two things here. First one, and they both kind of go along the same lines of what you said. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I made this point back in like June or July, and then I made it in one of the spaces that we did as well. When we were asking about 9-3, 10-2, and all these things. Go back to Gene Chiswick's first year, 2009. We won 5 games in a row. They're pretty easy 5 games. That 5th game was at Tennessee. That's the game where Eric Berry hit Ben Tate real hard. Then Ben Tate came back and choked Eric Berry a good night. We ended up getting the dub, and we started off 5-0. Finally got ranked, all this kind of stuff. And then we dropped our next 3 because we had tough 3 opponents to play. Yeah. So we fought a 5-3, and then we come back and we play Ole Miss at home on Halloween. Yeah. Lost 3 games in a row, and then we play an Ole Miss. Sound like a familiar scenario? And that's the game that Zach Etheridge, I was at that game. That's the game where Zach Etheridge broke his neck and all that. So we win that game versus Dexter McCluster, I believe, a Hugh Freeze coached Ole Miss. And we win that game. We get to 6-3, lose a close game at Georgia. Everyone remembers that Iron Bowl was a heartbreaker. Finish 7-5, win the bowl game, and we go 8-5. We'll go back to the preseason. If I said in the preseason, Auburn's going to finish 7-5 this year, win the bowl game, go 8-5, and finish with the top 12, the top 10 recruiting class, there's not an Auburn fan that doesn't have a reasonable brain that wouldn't take that.
Yep.
None of that is out of play. It's not out of play when we lose next week. It's not out of play if we lose to LSU. Yeah. 3-3 will suck. There'll be a bye week there. So you're looking at literally a month where we might not be back on here celebrating a win. It's going to suck. It's not going to be fun if that's what transpires, which is most likely, as we sit today, that's my prediction. And I said that before the season because it was very realistic. If we didn't win the A&M game, we would get to the halfway mark at 3-3.
Yep.
Look at what happens after that. You get Ole Miss at home. You get Mississippi State. You still got Vandy. You still got Arkansas. You still got New Mexico State. And we've all seen Auburn rise to the occasion versus Alabama plenty of times at home. And Alabama's not going to score 30 to 35 points this year consistently. So if you play the defense the way you've been playing, you should be in that ball game regardless. I mean, we had them, 10-3 a couple years ago? So once you get past this stretch after LSU, the last half of this season, there are wins to be had. So, again, we have an example in Gene Chiswick's first year in 2009 of a very, very similar scenario. This is going to suck. It's going to be tough. It's going to be rough. And when we lose games, I have to come on here and be real. But don't ever take that like I'm losing faith or I'm pissed. Don't type out your whole comment about honoring the creed and how much you love Auburn more than me and all that kind of stuff, okay? We got a job to do here. We got to do what we got to do. And, to everybody yesterday that decided they wanted to let you know on social media they're still an Auburn fan no matter what. I'm so proud that you were able to find out that's what a fan is. Congratulations. You figured out that even when your team loses, you're still supposed to be a fan. I'm an Auburn fan no matter what. Yep. Yes. Congratulations. If you're not, that's what's called a bandwagon fan. Now, on to the bandwagon fans. There are a lot of people that have pictures of them kneeling down in front of Sanford Hall, or them and their girlfriend in Jordan-Hare Stadium, all hugged up. Hey, we cute. Y'all got this as your picture. Your banner is an eagle flying and all this kind of stuff on your page. You're all Auburn. And I scroll down your page, and I see nothing but Bo Nix or Deion Sanders. I cannot wait for both of us Knicks to graduate and get out of college. I am so sick of this. And again, I have to put in my disclaimer. This is fanatic. This is the fan talking. I wish Bo Nix, the person, all the best. I wish Deion Sanders, the person, all the best. This is the sports fan me talking here, okay? But it's the same. I ain't never going to change. So, Bo Nix supposed to rock with Auburn, right? He's supposed to rock with Auburn. Now, again, you have a decision to make. He clearly made the best decision for him, the person. This is me, the sports fan, talking. They got pictures of me as a little kid, and I'm not a D1 quarterback. I get it. He has a decision to make. But you got pictures of me as an Auburn fan at 7 years old, and you're going to have pictures of me in Auburn gear as a 77-year-old, Lord willing I make it that far. I ain't changing, bro. I ain't putting on nothing Oregon. I ain't putting on nothing Colorado. There are people that claim to be Auburn fans that are saying we now in reference to Colorado. Get on. Get on. Like I told everybody back with the Arkansas stuff, whenever we had softball players transfer to Arkansas, and half our fan base was like, you go kill it, girl. Nope. I hope you strike out every time. I wish you the best as a person. I wish you the most success in life. I don't care. You're not on my team. I don't care what Bo Nix does. I'm blocking all y'all. I don't care. I don't care if he throws for 7 touchdowns. I don't care if he throws for 7 yards. It has nothing to do with Auburn. Colorado has nothing to do with Auburn. I'm not saying you can have an opinion on the sport of college football, but it goes too far for me. It's too much when your whole thing is about Bo Nix. Because let me ask you this. Does Bo Nix deserve more love from you as an Auburn fan, or does Robbie Ashford? Because Bo Nix is a better quarterback than Robbie Ashford. But Bo Nix, whether it was the right decision or not, he left Auburn. I don't see Oregon fans throat goating Robbie when he makes a good play. I don't. How come every time Bo Nix does something, do we got people throat goating this dude? I don't get it. You got a quarterback right now that last year played through a messed up shoulder for you when other quarterbacks wouldn't even go in the game because they didn't want to burn their eligibility. And he's playing hurt right now. Still. Probably got more than one. I know of one, probably got more, right? We know about the oblique or whatever, right? A couple weeks back. And Robbie got banged up again. Bet money Robbie's out there Saturday. Bet money he's out there Saturday banged up. And y'all want to trash this guy consistently and love on the dude that left. It don't make it make sense to me. You can't make it make sense to me. So if you want to wear the Oregon laser tag gear, if that's what you're into, okay, if you like glow in the dark uniforms or all pink with silver duck wings on it, then go rock it, brother. Go rock it. But quit complaining about Auburn because you ain't an Auburn fan. I'm tired of seeing it. If you don't, yeah, I'll admit it. Glory, glory to all Auburn. It's old. And guess what we're going to be singing in 100 years? Glory, glory to all Auburn. And we're going to run right out that AU, and we're going to do the same damn thing we've been doing because that's what we do. We've been doing it since 1892. And if you don't want to rock with that, then don't rock with it. If you like the new age, the flash, the prime, all that stuff, go rock with it, man. I don't blame you. Go do it. But we're going to do what we're going to do over here. And I think that some people need to start showing more love to the athletes on the team that they claim to represent, that they claim to be a fan of, than to be throat-goating Landon King. I love Landon King. But I've got people that are saying they're Auburn fans with Landon King as their avatar on Twitter. And that's all you tweet about. Landon King made the right decision for Landon King. I'm not knocking the kid. Wish him all the best at Utah. Wish he would have got the right opportunities here at Auburn. But he's not at Auburn. So why don't we quit taking all this energy and love and putting it in other places and then doing nothing but hating on our players? Why don't you take some of that love for Bo Nix and put it on a Robbie Ashford or support a Holden Garner? Why don't you do that? The people that picked Auburn. It's weird. I'm freaking over it. You see this right here? All you'll ever see me wear. That's it. I don't get down with it, Blake. I never have got down with it. I never, ever will.
Hey, I'm just glad he spanked that Colorado yesterday. You can say what you want to, man. If anybody disagrees with what we had to say, it is what it is. I'm just tired of the media. That's all you hear is the Colorado stuff.
He's doing a good job, right? Like
he's
not doing a great. He's doing a great job.
He's doing great. He's a great person, bro. The way he cares for the kid, and the biggest thing for me with Prime is the way he handles his kids, bro. Like his Shador and Shiloh. He's a great dad. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way the media covers it. That is what gets me, man. It's like unbearable at this point.
Right.
And then you have Auburn fans who are just sitting over here, oh my God, Colorado.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, we're over here, can't even get a freaking touchdown in College Station, and you're over here, oh my God, Colorado. And I'm like, stop. Like, stop. You're going along with the narrative that ESPN and Disney's pushing, bro. Like they just keep hammering this thing. It's just it's old, man. It's gotten old so quick, and like, cool, man. Like I'm pulling for Prime. Like I think I hope he does great. But guess what? He didn't come to Auburn, Dustin. And you know, and look, the Bo Nix stuff. I see people, you know, hey, Bo Nix that. I had a guy yesterday, he got on my Facebook and he said, what if Bo Nix would have stayed at Auburn? And I was like, yeah, it would have been great, man, but he didn't. Like, he chose to go to Oregon. That's fine. Like, it is what it is. Yeah, am I flying up to Oregon in November to watch Oregon play USC? Yeah, I am. All right. The reason I'm doing that is because Autzen Stadium is a bucket list trip for me. And there's college football stadiums that I want to go to before I leave this earth. And that's one of them, you know. I want to go experience it. My little brother is, you know, he's on that Bo Nix stuff. He loves Bo. And he wants to go. So guess what? We're going. But boy, I'm not going to sit on here and oh my God, you know, I'm just not going to do it. Like I left my parents' house yesterday and I didn't hardly talk to my wife. I didn't. I mean, I can call my wife right now and say, how many words did I speak to you yesterday? And she's going to be straight up with you. I didn't really talk to her. And there's a reason for that, because I was upset.
Right.
And you can sit there and say, oh, well, you're crazy for an 18 to 22-year-old kid making you feel that way. I'm passionate about Auburn sports, man. That's how I feel. Like, did I sit around and watch all the other games yesterday? Yeah, I did. But the whole time I was sitting over there moping on the couch, like,
Right.
just going, man, we lost, bro.
I wish we could complete a pass like that.
Yeah. It's like watching Washington last night run up and down the field on Cal. And I'm like, damn, man, they're making it look easy. All these people thought Cal had this great defense. And Michael Penix Jr., hey, it was 14-0 before Michael Penix Jr. ever stepped on the field. And I'm sitting there going, but they're making it look so easy, like Cal's trash. And they could hang 100 on Cal. And we could barely find the end zone. There you go, man. Have a great rest of the Sunday. Enjoy your NFL. I'm checked out.
Yeah. We'll be back here. We'll be back here Tuesday. We're going to grade, like I said, we're going to grade everything that's happened the first 4 games. If you have not subscribed to the channel, man, please do. Like the video. If you have not, share it out on social media, all those kind of things. Go over to the warreportshop.com to get you an up-tempo podcast t-shirt. Go to homefieldapparel.com to use code UPTEMPO to get 15% off your first purchase. Blake showing off some home field gear right there, man. Do all that kind of stuff. It helps us out tremendously. If you have not signed up for membership, please do that as well. Had a good time talking to our members during the game day chat. A lot of guys that aren't in there, man. So if you're one of our members that weren't in there, hop up in there. Look, even when it got hairy there, and we obviously weren't going to win, we were still having a good time in the group chat, joking and making the best of the bad situation. So get in there and be a part of that if you would like to do that as well. And yeah, man, 7 p.m. Central Time, we'll be back. It's War Damn Eagle. It's Auburn versus everybody, and that is never going to change over here. Win, lose, or draw. We will see you guys Tuesday, 7 p.m. War Damn Eagle. We're out of here.
War damn, baby.